You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Emerson Whitner, and this is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, February 10th, 2016. First of all, I do want to thank Titus O'Neil for sending me a warning on Twitter today because I saw Stevie J and I was ready to run up and pick him up over my head, but then I realized Stevie may suspend me for 3 months without pay, and, well, I need this gig, so I put Stevie back down, and, well, in my mind I put Stevie back down because I never actually picked him up, but you get the point. But in all seriousness, I do want to start this week by wishing the best of luck to Daniel Bryan. It's really not going to be the same knowing I will never have the pleasure of watching him wrestle ever again, but I can't help but wish him nothing but the best in the future. NXT is not live from Full Sail for the next few weeks, but instead from the University of Central Florida. It was taped over Royal Rumble weekend. I believe the next 3 or 4 episodes are all from the same place. And it looked like a WWE taping. Like, they spent less on production, but it was so different from watching a Full Sail show for both good and bad reasons. Like, just the Full Sail crowd, when the Full Sail crowd is on, they're the best crowd in wrestling. This crowd wasn't your normal NXT crowd. They got into some of it, but a lot of it was just kind of, well, we're there to watch a wrestling show. The show started with Baron Corbin versus Johnny Gargano. I want to point out the nicest thing I can always say about Baron is that I love his entrance. Johnny Gargano, like I said, is back, and it's always amazing in my mind to remember watching Gargano wrestle in Pro Wrestling Ohio almost 8 years ago, which used to air on Sports Time Ohio, which I got on DirecTV at the time. They had a really good big man, little man match. Baron has improved leaps and bounds, while Gargano is great. Baron wore him down with a Cobra clutch hold. Gargano made his comeback and hit kind of a reverse suicide dive. Corbin was in the ring, Gargano was on the apron, and he dove through the ropes at Baron. Gargano got a near fall after a super kick, but Corbin picked up yet another win with the end of days. Alex was backstage interviewing Sami Zayn about his match with Samoa Joe next week. Sami was disappointed that Mr. Regal did not name him the number 1 contender after winning the triple threat match, but he does plan on beating Joe next week. And he also mentioned this is the first ever one-on-one match between him and Joe. They aired the evil Vaudevillains promo again before the Hype Bros took on Corey Hollis and John Skyler. Yes, Corey Graves' least favorite tag team is back. And Hollis and Skyler are, I guess, now a regular team because they're wearing matching gear, but it wasn't important enough to find their names out until the first 3 minutes of the match had already been over. Hollis and Skyler got just enough offense so Ryder could make a hot tag. Mojo came in, beat both men all over the place. He used the pounce at one point, which I think is the first time he used it in a while. Ryder used the broski boot and then pinned Hollis with the Hype Rider. Alex interviewed Bayley and Carmella about their upcoming match with each other. If Bayley wasn't such an amazing babyface, this whole thing just seemed like a setup for her to turn heel, but alas, it's not. Carmella said this is the biggest match of her career, and they both expect to still be besties after this match. Alexa Bliss pinned Carmella in such a bad match, I don't even want to talk about it. Both women were heels. By the way, who did I say Alexa Bliss wrestled? Alexa Bliss wrestled Cameron. I think I said Carmella. No, she wrestled Cameron, former Funkadactyl Cameron. But anyway, this was a heel versus heel match. I thought Cameron was going to be the subtle babyface, and she's the star of Total Divas. However, she's out there calling all the fans losers. The match was set up a few weeks ago when Alexa eliminated Cameron from the Women's Battle Royal. This match may have been adequate way back when NXT women's matches were a step down from WWE women's matches, but this match nowadays sticks out like a sore thumb. Just a horrible match featuring an unprepared woman who had no place in the ring, and Alexa won with a sparkle splash. Enzo and Big Cass cut a promo on Dash and Dawson, reminding them they were still here and that they were the 2015 NXT Tag Team of the Year. American Alpha walked in and said that they will be the 2016 Tag Team of the Year. And this was just a weird promo, as all four of them were not even looking at each other. They were all looking off camera, but their bodies were all turned towards each other. But it just looked so awful and weird on camera. Elias Sampson pinned former TNA wrestler Jesse Sorensen. I think Sampson has to be babyface since Corey Graves was his usual obnoxious self burying Sampson here. Regardless of his affiliation, he still is not getting over. The fans chanted "Drift Away" at him, which was the only reaction of the entire match. To be fair, I don't know if his gimmick is better or worse than Jesse Sorensen's TNA gimmick, which, if you don't recall, his entire gimmick was he carried a football to the ring. I'm serious. Go look that up. Anyway, Sampson once again shushed the quiet crowd before winning with a running neckbreaker. Someone really needs to let him know that he should at least wait till they start making noise before he shushes them. Apollo Crews cut a promo saying he does not regret asking for a rematch with Finn Balor, even though it did not turn out the best for him. He's not going to waste his time thinking about what he's going to do, but promised a new Apollo Crews. Finally, in the main event, Carmella got her chance to go from hairdresser to champion as she took on Bayley for the NXT Women's title. Am I the only person who remembers that angle where Carmella was the hairdresser? Trust me, I know the answer is yes. Anyway, Bayley had the entire arena clapping and chanting for her, and by the entire arena, I'm also including Carmella, who clapped along for Bayley's entrance. Bayley had control for the vast majority of this match, and they weren't telling this story. However, it appeared that the point was that she was completely outclassing Carmella, and it took a dumb mistake by Bayley to even give Carmella a shot, as Bayley went up to the middle rope for what a maneuver, but Carmella just shoved her off the top rope, making her land on the pretty black mats outside. Carmella used two different suicide dives, but that only got her a 2 count. The finish saw Carmella use a roll-up, but Bayley rolled through that and pinned Carmella to retain the title. The girls hugged after the match, and they remained friends. Carmella started walking away to give Bayley her time in the sun to celebrate when Carmella was attacked by Eva Marie and Nia Jax. Bayley ran in for the save, but she too was laid out. The evil girls dragged Carmella into the ring and beat on her some more when Asuka marched to the ring. She didn't run, she didn't walk, she stalked the ring. Eva, upon seeing her, immediately hid behind Nia Jax, and I mean both immediately and hid behind Nia. Asuka stared down Nia until Eva kind of pulled her friend away, and then after they left, Asuka turned and smiled at Bayley, who got back in the ring, and the fans chanted yes while Asuka tapped the title belt. Now that is not it yet. Instead, we go backstage to Samoa Joe, who had a message for Sami Zayn. Joe reminded us that he saved Zayn's career last May at NXT TakeOver, and he vowed to be the next NXT champion, and he plans on going through Sami Zayn to get there. So that is it for this week. I do want to thank everyone for listening. Please check out WrestlingOutsiders.com for free wrestling and MMA podcasts 5 days a week. I want to thank you all for listening again. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you again in 1 week.
You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.